Have you ever found yourself in that frustrating, brain fog, that feeling when your thoughts just seem stuck or you hit that wall of mental exhaustion and your potential just feels drained? It's that heavy feeling, right? Information overload or just you can't think clearly. It happens to all of us. But imagine if you could actually train your brain, make it sharper, more agile, unlock its hidden potential. And what if it started with really simple everyday habits? Habits that could genuinely change your life.
Well, what's fascinating here, looking at the sources we're diving into today, is that they lay out a pretty clear path. And it's not just about storing more facts. It's about fundamentally transforming how you think, how you decide, how you interact with the world. It's really about building a more resilient, more powerful mind.
Exactly. So today we're taking a deep dive into 7, maybe surprising ways to boost your brain power. This is all drawn from some really insightful source material. We'll unpack how these simple shifts can make you smarter, more creative, and just better equipped, really, to navigate our complex world. So what does this all mean for you, the curious learner, maybe looking for that edge? Let's unpack this.
Okay, let's start with something we all rely on constantly. Memory. You might think it's just about memorizing stuff for a test, but our sources show it's far more complex than that. It's really about how your brain receives, stores, and then retrieves information effectively, the whole cycle.
Right. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it's not just what you remember, but how that information helps you process things, build connections, analyze situations, which raises a really important question. What truly impacts our memory day to day? Maybe things we don't even notice. Well, the sources highlight some key factors. Things like the quality of your sleep, definitely your stress levels, your brain's energy, your emotional state. Even your environment plays a role. For instance, deep sleep. It's absolutely crucial because that's when your brain is busy organizing short-term memories, turning them into long-term ones. If your sleep gets disrupted, that daily information can just get scattered. It can disappear without you even realizing it.
And here's where it gets really interesting. Chronic stress. The sources explain that chronic stress releases cortisol, the stress hormone, and that directly damages the hippocampus. That's the brain's memory center. So reducing stress and getting quality sleep aren't just nice to haves. They're fundamental for good memory.
And simple daily routines can help here, like starting your day with water to boost circulation. Simple, right. Or gentle brain activities, reviewing your to-do list, trying to remember street names on your commute, or even just recalling the sequence of what you did yesterday. Little workouts.
Yeah, exactly. And the sources also point to some powerful memory techniques, almost like mental tools. One is using visual association. So, for example, linking a new person's name to maybe a physical feature or where you first met them. Your brain just remembers images much, much better than abstract words.
That makes sense.
Another one is spaced repetition. So instead of rereading something right after you learned it, you review it after a time gap, then a longer gap, and so on. This creates deeper memory grooves, as they call it. Makes recall easier down the line.
And we can't forget the physical side, right? The sources mention specific foods like omega-3s from fish, also eggs, greens, berries, things high in antioxidants. They reduce brain inflammation, improve blood flow, all good stuff. Exercise, too, is vital. It increases oxygen to the brain, helps neurons connect better, literally helps build a better brain structure.
Which brings up an important question about technology, doesn't it? Memory apps, brain games. They can be useful tools, sure, for organization, motivation, maybe. But the sources warn against over-reliance. If you stop trying to remember things yourself, your brain kind of outsources the job. It can actually decrease your natural memory ability over time. It should be a helper, not a replacement.
That's a really key distinction. So the payoff for consistent training, even just for 2 or 3 weeks, it's pretty significant. Your brain forms new connections, it processes information faster, makes new memories more easily, and you'll feel more confident in your memory too. It's not just about how much you can memorize, but your ability to select important info, retrieve it when needed, and then use it creatively. Okay, so moving on from memory. Let's tackle analytical thinking and problem solving. This isn't just everyday thinking, is it? Our sources describe it as a much more deliberate process. Systematic reasoning, examining variables.
Exactly. And what's fascinating here is how it contrasts with our brain's natural tendency to take shortcuts. Making quick assumptions, relying on biases. Those can lead to fast answers, sure, but often inaccurate ones. In today's world, with so much information flying around, analytical thinking is really a survival skill. It helps you avoid misinformation, avoid costly mistakes.
Right. And the first crucial step, according to our sources, is just clearly defining the problem. Sounds simple, but it's vital. If the problem is vague, The information you gather will be vague too. You'll end up with scattered solutions. But a clear definition focuses your brain's energy, saves time, reduces confusion.
So the effective analytical process often starts with a pause, stepping back from the distractions, really trying to see the problem from all sides. Then you start asking those guiding questions. Why did this happen? Why did we get this result?
Hmm?
You gather information both quantitative, like numbers, and qualitative, like experiences. You categorize it, look for connections, and then form multiple hypotheses, possible explanations.
Okay, and here's where it gets really interesting, I think. You then test those hypotheses systematically against the evidence. If the evidence conflicts, you don't just stick to your idea, you go back. Maybe redefine the problem or gather more information. It's a cycle, right? Until you land on the most consistent conclusion, and that leads to practical solutions.
Which raises an important question. Why do so many people still struggle with problem solving, even with all this information available? Well, the sources point to common mental traps. Things like confirmation bias, only looking for info that confirms what you already believe.
Yeah, we all do that sometimes.
Absolutely. Then there's decision fatigue. When your brain is just tired of making choices, it defaults to shortcuts. Information overload is another big one. And just time pressure or emotional pressure. These things push us towards those off-target answers, leading to repeated costs or problems.
But there are tools. The sources mention things like games, chess, Sudoku. They force you to think ahead, multiple moves, and you get clear feedback when you mess up. There's also the 5 whys technique. Simple but powerful. You just keep asking why about a problem until you dig down to the root cause, not just the symptoms. And trying to think from a completely different angle can help you spot assumptions you didn't even know you were making.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, consistently practicing analytical thinking actually stimulates your brain's frontal lobe. It leads to denser neural connections. Your brain literally becomes faster, more stable in how it deliberates and makes decisions. This means you start shifting away from, say, emotion-driven decisions in important areas like finance, health, relationships, towards more reason-driven ones. You see the pros and cons more clearly, make better long-term choices.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? Analytical thinking is basically the bridge. It connects raw information to correct decisions. Without it, information can feel like a burden and those biases just take over. But with it, complex problems can be systematically broken down, really understood, and solved accurately, and often more quickly, too. Okay, let's talk about something really fundamental in our, well, hyper-connected world. Meditation and focus. We're constantly bombarded, aren't we? Notifications, social media, the general rush of daily life. It slowly pulls our attention away, sometimes until we might even lose our ability to really concentrate without even realizing it's happening.
Yeah, and what's fascinating here is that even seemingly small, constant distractions have a deep impact. They affect our ability to think, to learn, to make decisions effectively. Our brain isn't really a machine that performs well under constant chaos. It actually craves space, quiet, an environment that supports continuous thought. And that's exactly what you cultivate with meditation and focus.
Right. And people might think meditation and focus are the same thing, but our sources explain a key difference. Meditation is more about the ability to bring your mind back to the present, to stillness, gently guiding it back when it wanders. Focus, on the other hand, is the ability to choose one important thing and stick with it. Do it fully, without distraction.
Exactly. And they work together. Consistent meditation builds sharper focus, and practicing focus actually refines your meditation. They're synergistic.
Hand in hand.
In the brain, both are directly linked to the prefrontal cortex. That's your command center, basically, for thinking, decision-making, prioritizing tasks. And research actually shows that even just 10 minutes of daily meditation can visibly increase neuron density in this area.
Wow, just 10 minutes.
Yep, leading to sharper decisions, better task management. It's like strengthening that core mental muscle.
And here's where it gets really interesting, I found. An 8-week meditation study showed that brain areas linked to stress actually reduced their activity, while areas linked to emotional control and memory improved, visibly improved. So this shows meditation isn't just about feeling calm, It structurally changes your brain, improves your quality of life in measurable ways.
And behaviorally, you see the effects too. Consistent meditation tends to make people more patient, less impulsive, more likely to plan for the long term. These are qualities often found in successful people, right? When your mind is calm, your brain doesn't just react on autopilot. It actually has space to think, to choose a conscious response.
That's powerful. But many people assume meditation means hours sitting cross-legged in silence. Our sources say that's simply not true. You can practice easily in daily life, like Taking deep, slow breaths at a red light, mindfully washing the dishes, focusing on the sensations, walking slowly without your phone glued to your hand, or truly listening to someone without interrupting or planning your response.
Those small acts train your brain. They train it to stay present. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, a lack of focus keeps your brain constantly pulled in different directions. It's like a computer with way too many apps open. It gets slow, prone to crashing. Stanford research actually found that people who constantly switch tasks, they have worse short-term memory, slower decision-making, and experience twice the stress.
Wow, twice the stress. That really makes you think, what about our overall mental health? The sources suggest that constant distraction can lead to anxiety-like symptoms, that feeling of never accomplishing anything, and just that inexplicable fatigue because your brain never truly rests or recovers.
Exactly. So what does this all mean for you? In this world of information overload, the ability to filter, to focus on one thing, to build stable concentration, it's a crucial survival skill for your brain. A calm brain sees opportunities. A focused brain turns goals into reality. And a brain that practices meditation daily, even just a little, can develop without limits. Start small. Just a few minutes a day to bring your mind back to the present moment.
Okay, let's pivot now to something we all strive for, learning and remembering effectively. Our sources use a great analogy here, comparing it to a factory. You have input, a process, and then output.
Yeah, and if we connect this to the bigger picture, input is the raw data from books, audio experiences, whatever. The process is how your brain takes that raw data and interprets it, categorizes it, connects it, refines it into actual understanding.
Yeah.
And the output,
Yeah.
that's your ability to explain it, remember it, apply it, maybe even create something new from it.
And here's where it gets really interesting, according to the sources. Writing summaries and teaching others, these aren't just endpoints, they're like control panels that force your brain through every single step of that internal factory process. When you just read passively, your brain mostly gets input through one channel, your eyes. And a lot of that info stays in fragile, short-term memory. It fades fast.
But writing summaries forces your brain to review, to condense long ideas, to reorganize the information. It's active engagement. And teaching others, that amplifies the power even more. Because you have to anticipate questions, respond in real time, give clear examples. Every time you explain something, your brain pulls that information, connects it to new context, and records it deeper into long-term storage.
Okay, so this raises an important question then. What about listening? Like to podcasts or audio lessons? Our sources highlight their advantage, definitely. You can learn efficiently while commuting, exercising, times you couldn't easily read. Your brain processes audio without eye strain. It can stimulate your imagination. Neuroscience even shows that hearing emotional stories releases chemicals that help solidify memories.
Interesting, right? Very interesting. However, listening alone can still be too passive, just letting the information wash over you. So the sources suggest pausing the audio sometimes, maybe jot down short notes, or even just verbally repeat what you just heard out loud or in your head. This bridges that gap. It transforms passive listening into active processing, turns ear input into raw material for your brain's internal work.
That makes sense. Now, many busy people worry, oh, I only have time to read a few pages a day. Is that even worth it?
No, sure.
But the sources argue strongly that quality trumps quantity here. If every page you read has a clear goal, you know why you're reading it, what you'll use the info for, and you summarize it afterwards, maybe as a mind map or just a few key notes, your brain gains more concentrated substance from that than from hours of aimless reading.
And this all points to the core idea of active learning. It shifts you from being a passive receiver to an active experimenter. Your brain actually has this reward circuit. It releases dopamine when it successfully connects new things to old experiences. That dopamine hit strengthens the memory and motivates you to keep practicing. It feels good to learn actively.
Right.
Passive learning, on the other hand, keeps your brain in energy-saving mode. Information often fades quickly. It really is like watching a chef on TV versus actually getting in the kitchen and cooking yourself. You learn by doing.
So practically speaking, what does this all mean for you? How can you use this? Well, to really integrate reading, listening, writing, speaking, you can create a sort of continuous learning conveyor belt. Maybe set a main topic for the week. Then break it into daily subtopics. If you're short on time one day, read a short article or summary. The next day, listen to a podcast on the same topic. Get new perspectives. Then maybe write just 4 or 5 lines of notes, a quick mind map summarizing the key points.
And then, maybe at the end of the week, pick the one point you feel you understand best, explain it to a friend, or just record a quick 1-minute audio summary for yourself. If you find gaps while explaining, that's great feedback. Go back to the source material. This continuous cycle, input, process, output, feedback, ensures you're always moving forward. It's about maintaining that steady rhythm.
Okay, now let's talk about a skill that can feel a bit elusive sometimes: creativity. Our sources suggest it often doesn't start with a lightning bolt of inspiration. Sometimes it starts with, well, boredom or dissatisfaction with how things are. That little bit of discomfort can actually push your brain to search for new solutions, to move beyond old, ineffective patterns.
Yeah, what's fascinating here is that creativity isn't just about having wild, bizarre ideas. It's more the ability to see familiar things from a fresh perspective. And crucially, to connect things that previously seemed totally unrelated. That's what leads to new and practical solutions.
And the sources really emphasize breaking your routine as a key to unlocking this. Daily routines are efficient, sure. They put your brain on autopilot, save energy, but they also discourage new neural connections. But even small changes, like try using your non-dominant hand to write for a bit, or take a completely different route home from work. These small disruptions make your brain observe more, become more alert. They force it to forge new neural pathways, basically building creative roots.
Exactly. And this is where note-taking, as described in the sources, gets really powerful for creativity. It's not just about writing things down linearly. It's about letting ideas flow outwards from a central core, encouraging nonlinear thinking, branches, connections, multiple directions. That kind of radiating thought process is a hallmark of creative thinking.
So what's actually happening in your brain when new ideas start bubbling up? Well, the right hemisphere, the part often associated with imagination, images, sounds, emotions, it becomes more active. Your brain starts experimenting, connecting things that don't logically seem connected, like hearing rain and suddenly imagining a melody, or seeing a lamp and thinking of a tree structure. This happens best when your brain is relaxed, not tightly constrained by logic.
Mhm. And the sources suggest using things like classical music to help stimulate this. Because it's wordless emotional sound, it allows your brain to imagine freely without getting caught up in translating language. Combine that with activities involving trial and error, maybe sketching without worrying if it's good or writing fictional dialogues. Gradually, your brain starts releasing ideas that were maybe hidden behind those logical constraints.
And the simple act of questioning what's familiar, what you've always been taught, that's another powerful creative trigger. It challenges your brain not to accept any truth too easily. It prompts you to explore, is there a better way? Think about the shift to online work during the pandemic. People questioned the absolute necessity of physical offices. That questioning led to massive global changes in cost, time, how we operate.
Right. And what's fascinating here is that training your brain to think outside the box isn't just about waiting for inspiration. It comes from systematic practice. One really effective technique is brainstorming without judgment. Just let every single idea flow out, no matter how wild it seems at first. Only later do you go back and analyze or filter them. This encourages bold experimentation. It prevents old thought patterns from immediately shutting down possibilities.
That makes sense. The sources also highlight the role of play. That sounds maybe childish, but it's central to creativity. Play means acting without fear of mistakes, without fixed goals, being open to changing direction as you go. Like how kids can make incredible toys out of scrap materials because they don't have preconceived notions of the right way to do it.
Exactly. Play is essentially a training ground for bold experimentation. So what does this all mean for you? True creativity isn't just raw talent or a sudden flash. It's really a journey from the mundane through exploring novelty to practical creation. Highly creative people often embrace diverse fields, because every concept, every piece of knowledge becomes raw material for new connections. So to develop creativity, change how you view mistakes, make space for play, learn from varied sources, and really dare to experiment without limits. Okay, moving on. Our brains, they're like these incredible engines, right? They don't just run on information alone. They need stimulation, movement, and a whole mix of systems working together for peak performance. And that's where physical brain exercise comes in. Enhancing your brain through physical movement, combined with perception, decision-making, sensory input, the whole package. Yeah, what's fascinating here is that it's kind of like warming up every single system in a car before you start a drive. It makes your brain alert in all dimensions, more adaptable to real-life situations, which are always unpredictable.
One simple but really powerful example from the sources is walking without a map or GPS. Think about it. When you rely on your smartphone constantly, your brain's hippocampus, that's the control center for memory and navigation, it works less. It gets lazy. But if you ditch the GPS, your brain has to observe details, images, locations, sounds, distances, potential routes. It actively stimulates your inner mapping ability. I've definitely noticed this myself. I used to know my way around much better before smartphones.
You too.
Uh,
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it's like remembering the way to your grandma's house from childhood. Those details become embedded, rich with real-world meaning. It really makes you wonder, how else can we combine movement and brain power effectively?
Well, our sources point to things like light exercise combined with listening to podcasts or audio lessons. When your body moves, blood circulation improves, your brain gets more oxygen, neurons transmit information faster. It's like giving your brain's engine fresh air before a climb. Plus, movement can keep your attention at just the right level, not too distracted, not too tense. It helps your brain enter that flow state, making content easier to understand and remember.
Absolutely. And what's fascinating here is how seemingly small acts like humming or gently singing can impact multiple brain systems. Humming stimulates the vagus nerve, which promotes relaxation and actually improves blood flow to the brain. And singing engages both the left and right brain hemispheres simultaneously. It requires precision rhythm, sound, emotion. This strengthens connections between the hemispheres, improves visual thinking, language, even emotional balance. It's quite complex.
That is complex. The sources also highlight the power of multisensory input. So, for example, listening to sounds while you're looking at related images, or smelling something distinct while you're writing notes about it. This forces your brain to create multidimensional information links. It's like watching a movie site, sound, emotion creates much denser memories than just reading text.
Right. The more ways your brain receives information, the more it has to organize and connect neural networks. It builds a richer internal map.
Yeah.
And here's where it gets really interesting. Activities that combine movement with thought. Things like dancing to a rhythm, trying to walk a straight line like a tightrope, maybe doing yoga while solving math problems in your head,
Yoga and math, okay.
or even just cooking a recipe without constantly checking the instructions. These activities train both sides of your brain to work together smoothly. It's like a playground for your brain, engaging all its different parts at once.
So, what does this all mean for you? Physical brain exercise isn't just about physical health, although that's great too. It actually prepares your brain for deep analytical thinking, for effective learning, for making deeper connections. It's not just about intense studying locked away somewhere, it's about giving your body and brain opportunities to move and experience multiple dimensions continuously. The more senses you engage, the more you move while thinking, the stronger and more flexible your brain becomes. Okay, finally, let's talk about communication and organizing your thoughts. This is crucial. Every word you say, it starts much deeper, doesn't it? As a feeling, maybe an experience that hasn't quite taken shape yet, like an internal mist. Your brain then does this amazing thing. It transforms that mist into a coherent thought.
Yeah, and if we connect this to the bigger picture, clearly organizing those thoughts is absolutely crucial for good communication. It's like turning that internal mist into something tangible, something structured. So your listener can basically see the same structure you have in your head. It builds a direct bridge between your experience and theirs, ensures clarity, saves them effort in understanding you.
And the sources offer a simple practice here. Just take a few seconds before you speak, like a carpenter measuring twice before cutting once, right? Instead of just blurting out raw thoughts, try to identify the main feeling or point in your heart. Form it into the shortest possible sentence. Then maybe expand it with 2, 3 supporting sentences. When you speak, or even when you type, try to state your main point first, then add the details. Helps cut out unnecessary words, leaving just the core meaning.
What's fascinating here is the difference you see between someone who thinks fast, but maybe speaks unclearly, and someone who communicates really effectively, even if they use fewer words. The effective communicator knows when to pause. They let their brain organize. This makes their message sharp, on target, like a photographer waiting for the perfect focus before clicking the shutter.
Good communicators also use pauses well, don't they? And body language to enhance meaning, help complex information land smoothly. But it starts even before speaking. The sources emphasize that deep listening is the root of good speaking.
Which raises an important question. Why is listening so important for speaking well? Well, when you listen deeply, you're actually reflecting the other person's thoughts in your own mind. You're processing them. If you only listen superficially, your brain just gets sounds. It doesn't truly interpret or connect them. But when you listen mindfully, all your senses are engaged. You receive the sound, the emotion, the context. Then, when it's your turn to speak, you have much richer material to draw from. Your words can resonate more precisely with your listener. It's like tasting food as you cook it, ensuring the final dish is perfectly balanced.
That's a great analogy. So, what does this mean for you day to day? You can practice organizing your thoughts all the time. Before sending a text message, just pause. Trim unnecessary words. Before a meeting, maybe jot down 3 or 4 words for each main point, instead of writing out full paragraphs. In the evening, you could even quickly review your day's conversations. Note what felt clear, what felt vague. It's like sharpening a knife daily. Your communication just becomes sharper, takes less time and effort.
There's a nice image for the journey from what's in your heart to taking action, like a river flowing through 4 key points. First, the source. Your mixed feelings, your raw experiences. Second, the rapids, where thoughts get filtered, leaving clear water. That's the organizing part. Third, the dam, where you consciously decide the direction of the flow, the purpose. And finally, the canal, where that water flows steadily to the fields, representing consistent, appropriate action, clear output.
So if we connect this to the bigger picture, organizing your thoughts is like building an efficient irrigation system for that inner stream. It ensures your thoughts and feelings nourish everything effectively without loss or overflow. When you practice this consistently, your thoughts become clearer, your decisions sharper, your actions more precise. You use fewer resources but get clearer results.
On the other hand, neglecting this organization means those scattered feelings just crash out. Raw, difficult to understand. It leads to misunderstandings, conflicts. It's like a flash flood, right? Damaging things before the water can actually soak in and be useful. Requires a lot of effort to fix later.
So communication isn't just about using pretty words or sounding smart. It's really about ensuring every action, every word has a clear origin, flowing from within to without in a directed way, leading to a life that creates value, both for you and for your listeners in every situation. Wow. What an incredible deep dive today. We've journeyed through 7 really fascinating ways to sharpen your brain, from stimulating memory and boosting analytical thinking to embracing meditation, active learning, creativity, physical brain exercise, and clear communication. Quite a range.
Yeah, and we've seen these aren't just isolated tips, are they? They're interconnected pathways, all leading towards a more agile, more resilient, and just a more effective mind. The underlying theme seems clear. Investing even just a few minutes each day in these practices can yield really powerful long-term results. It can transform how you navigate information, how you tackle problems, how you nurture relationships.
You know, it really strikes me that in this age where information just floods us constantly, the true measure of a powerful brain isn't just how much you know. It's more about your ability to choose what's important, to bring that knowledge to life, and then use it to create something new, something meaningful.
Which leaves us with a compelling question for you, the listener, to ponder. If your brain is always learning, always adapting, what new frontier of understanding will you choose to explore next, using these very tools we've unpacked today?